Welcome to the NHL playoff preview for the spring of 2026. We have a brand new teams in the East, 3 classic rivalries, and great names playing, coaching, and also a couple playoff droughts are over. Help us break it all down on the Eastern Conference. One of the executive producers was the Felger Maj, #1 sports radio talk show in all of Boston, all of the United States on 98.5 The Sports Does. I'd like to welcome back to the program Kevin Maggiore. Kevin, how are we doing? And it's that beautiful time of the year. Boston has double playoffs, and South Florida has none. How about you? How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing good. It'll keep us busy at work with the double playoffs. Last year was just a single and then very short lived. We'll see if both could be long. I don't expect at least one of them to go long, and truthfully, I think both could be done by the second round. But I don't expect the basketball team to. But there's always that chance. There's always the chance.
Anything could happen. Anything is possible, is what Kevin Garnett would say, anyways.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So let's be honest here. All right. I'm going to say this. This is probably the most time we've had caring markets back in the playoffs. It's great to see that back. When I mean caring markets, you have the Bruins, you have the Sabres, it's Boston, Buffalo, Philly, Pittsburgh. I'll throw in Montreal because they are actually entertaining in the playoffs, and I'll throw in Tampa at least. You have great caring markets in the East. Can we say that at least? Like, I don't care about the Hurricanes or the Senators. Am I allowed to say that?
I think the Senators fans do care, right? Okay. And go to Montreal, Ottawa as well. Like, both were in it last year. I know that technically back in again, but at least they were there last year. They're repeats of having been there. Carolina doesn't care.
Yeah.
The return of Boston, the return of Buffalo, the return of Philly, the return of Pittsburgh this year seems very important for the Eastern Conference. I'm trying to off the top of my head, like Florida. Look, they've been in the Cup final the last 3 years, so they were at least an entertaining team. Washington is the one of the other ones that's out. New Jersey, and I can't think of the fourth team that's out from last year. Oh God, yeah, Toronto, yeah. So that's a loss of a caring market, and an embarrassing NBA level tank job by that organization to end the season. But yeah, I mean, you replace it with 4 markets that really, really care about the playoffs. It was a good, switch in, switch out for the Eastern Conference.
I think it's been great. Anyways, when you look, I was looking this from afar as I was making my list of getting all my guests and stuff. Like, all right, Maggiore's #1 anyways. And I was looking at this, like, we actually have caring markets that could carry the Eastern Conference, the
absolutely.
Western Conference games, which I feel like you didn't have that last year anyways.
No, I mean, yeah, I know we're just doing East. I can't think West-wise of who's out there, but again, a lot of caring markets out there. So at least the teams that are in the playoffs this year should hopefully help the league with the interest in, not that they really need interest in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but it should help with the interest at least.
I think it will help the interest because I think last year I was looking at all the ratings. They were really downly bad. And I was like, well, this is what happens when the East is very weak. You don't have Boston in. You don't have like your true traditional Northeast powers anyways. Like, all the New York teams are bad. Like Islanders are bad. Like, no one's a Devils fan anyways. The Rangers are bad. The Bruins are out. Philly was awful anyways under the final days of Tortorella, and Pittsburgh was on like, do we sell the team again anyway? So that's why. So it's nice to see you have traditional powers at least. But like, you have Washington. Would have been nice to have Washington playoffs, sure. But I wanted Philadelphia in the playoffs. Let's be honest. I'm allowed to be selfish here, am I right?
Oh, absolutely. You got to root for your team.
Exactly. I'm not trying to tell my team to go on a sabbatical and like, I'll see you in 6 years at least, like a college professor does for a year at least. Anyways.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. I'm going to say this. I want to start with the Atlantic because you are in the Atlantic Division. I'm excited for Bruins Sabres. Can I be honest with you? Are you guys excited for Bruins Sabres? Is there hype for it, by the way?
I think there's hype just to be back in Boston, right? Yeah. After last year. And just rebounding so quick, getting back here after the way the year started. They were 3-0, but then all of a sudden, a week and a half later, they're 3-6, and they're the last in the league. And it was like, oh my God, here we go. So I think there's excitement for the Bruins to be back. It's tough. Like, I don't really feel a rivalry with the Sabres.
No.
I feel like the people of Buffalo probably care more in terms of like just the hatred of the importance of winning this series and it goes further than Bruins Sabres. It goes to Patriots Bills.
Yes.
Right. It goes to Boston continually beating Buffalo. I mean, how long was it? The Bills, this is the Bills year. This is the Bills year. Mm-hmm. And then the Patriots have 2 bad years, and all of a sudden they're back in the Super Bowl. Yeah. And the Bills, they make the Super Bowl in coming out of a rebuild before the Bills can even get there. So I think the people of Buffalo have a little more desire to win this one, because it's kind of the same thing. This team missed the playoffs for 14 straight years. They get back into the playoffs. Here's the Bruins, who in that stretch missed it 3 times, right? They in that time they got back to a cup final, then fell apart again, missed the playoffs last year, bottomed out, and all of a sudden they're back in the playoffs. Like, the people of Buffalo are going to be saying, we have to go through these million-year rebuilds. Like, these guys get to do it in a year. Mm-hmm. So I think just me personally, I don't feel like the hatred towards Buffalo. I know that midway through game 1, I'll be completely aggravated with them, but I feel like it, on the flip side of it, the people of Buffalo really, really, really care about winning this one, maybe more than the Bruins fans do.
I think you nailed it right on that. I was looking like, it's like, I'm looking like, this is probably an easy series to win for the Bruins, but also the Sabres are like, I want to win this series because we haven't won a playoff series since 2008 or 2007. It was pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely because they lost in the first round to the Bruins one year, and then the next year they lose to the Flyers in the first round.
They lost to the Flyers in 7, that's why. So it has to be 2007 when they beat the Rangers when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So, I mean, Buffalo, this has to be big for Buffalo fans. And like I said, I mean, to me right now, I don't feel really a lot of emotion about it, but 4 years ago, whatever it was, when the Bruins played Carolina in the first round, and I knew they were going to get beat in the first round, I was like, yeah, whatever. And then you watch game 1 and you're ready to rip the TV out of the wall because you hate half the guys on the other side of the ice for what they're doing. So it'll come around. But to me, in terms of, like, I feel like if the Bruins lose, Bruins fans are going to be like, yeah, this sucks. Yeah. But we also weren't supposed to be here this year, so whatever. But like, if Buffalo loses, the fans are just going to be like, how many times do we have to keep losing to this guy? Exactly. to this city? Like, that's where I feel Sabres fans would be more upset if they were to lose.
Who's the Sabre you're looking for? That's gonna be. Have you guys be number one hatred? By the way, have you guys found one yet?
So this is just like me on a personal level, and it's a guy that I do like, but I know I'm going to be annoyed watching him. Is Jason Zucker? Because I just remember him with those Pittsburgh teams. He went to Pittsburgh after they won the Cups, I believe. He was there. He was in Minnesota, I believe, for a while. Like, Zucker's the guy that I really like him. I like the way he plays because he's a hard nosed, gritty player, in my opinion. And I just know he's going to be the one that annoys the crap out of me. I like Tage Thompson. I think he's a little bit soft for his size. Yeah. Maybe Alex Tuck. Honestly, maybe even Josh Doan, right? Like, those are guys that maybe, but to me, the one that I immediately head on is Zucker. Because I like him, and I think he's going to be annoying. He also shows like emotion. He scored a couple goals in the last time, or at least one goal the last time these two teams played each other, and just like the emotion that was there when he scored the goal, like. He shows a lot of emotion. He plays hard, so I know I'm going to be annoyed by Zucker throughout this series.
I feel like this is, as we like to say, sometimes you can be Connecticut soft and Connecticut soft. So Tage Thompson's the middle of, is he soft or soft anyway?
Yeah.
So we have to put that out there.
I'll be interested to see how he does as well. He's one of those guys that you now he's in the playoffs. Like, you got to see what he's going to do when the level is raised, and he had a good Olympics. He wasn't the best player out there, but he had a good Olympics for the U.S. and that's playoff level hockey. So we'll see what he does in this getting into the playoffs.
Am I crazy to say I'm highly concerned with the Buffalo's goaltending because I don't trust either one of them?
I wouldn't say that if you're not crazy. Like,
there's no Dominic Hasek or Ryan Miller or Martin Biron back there, anyways. Yeah,
You got Luukkonen, who again never played the playoffs, so you're gonna get that. Alex Lyon, if I remember correctly, he started that Bruins Panthers series 3 years ago, and then they went to Bobrovsky. But I think that going head on with the way Swayman's closed the year, that to me that's the clear advantage to the Bruins' goaltending. I trust Swayman way more than I trust either goalie. And could obviously change. It's one of those things, especially with a guy that's never played in the playoffs before. Like, you might get there and it might be his moment, like he just might be good in the playoffs. He might be good when the chips are. I would believe that Luukkonen's going to be the game one starter. He was, the end of they were kind of doing the flip flop tandem.
Yeah.
But the end of the year, it's really been him. But yeah, I think going into it right now, you're not crazy to be concerned about Buffalo's goaltending.
Tell me about James Higgins, by the way, the number 7 pick, by the way.
So he's looked good his first 2 games. He's getting in on the play. He's getting in. He's winning board battles. He's not afraid to get in there and get into a board battle, which I think some people thought was going to be his thing because he's small. He was going to struggle with that. He got an assist in his first game because he went in, won a board battle, kicked the puck to Corrali. Corrali got it out to Jokiharju, who scores. The other night, he was just a pest out there. And to me, I'm happy they got Buffalo because, again, I could be wrong. Like, I know Buffalo has talent.
Yeah.
I don't think the forecheck.
They have 15 years of tanking talent.
That's true. That's true. But the forecheck, to me, Buffalo, like Carolina, has that heavy forecheck. They get in, they hit, and I feel like Higgins against them maybe would have been a little bit overmatched. I think Buffalo is a little bit more of a soft landing spot for him. I think you can get matchups out there on the ice where he's going to be able to get in, win a few board battles. He's going to be a pest. I believe he should at least start game one, right? If he has a bad game one, I'm fine with taking him out of the lineup. Absolutely fine with it. But I believe he should be in there. He's looked good in his first 2 games. He looks ready. And yeah, he was I think surprising to a few people in terms of the way he played the game the last couple of nights.
He's been entertaining. I watched a lot of those Columbus down to the wire Blue Jackets Bruins games. It's like, okay, Bruins, do your thing so the Flyers can make the playoffs for me. And thank you, by the way. I always steal every Bruin. Thank you very much. That game this past Sunday, knocking Columbus out almost, was pretty much pitch perfect, I will say, by the way.
And it was really a few weeks ago as well where they were up 3-0 on the Bruins, and they blew it. Like they kind of down the stretch. We obviously heard from the coach yesterday that they just don't care.
Yeah.
Down the stretch they folded, but they came out of the break. They had 3 games against the Bruins, who they were chasing in the wild card race. They lost all 3. They got 1 point. They fell apart when it mattered the most.
Typical Columbus Blue Jacket hockey. How about that? All right, give me a prediction. Bruins Sabres. Is this going 7 at least?
It's going 7 because the Bruins just love to play 7 games.
The execs need 7 games out of this series.
Well, exactly. They need 7. I think it's going 7, but I'm gonna lean Buffalo.
Am I the only one taking the Bruins?
No, I think there's a good amount of people here taking the Bruins. They don't believe in Buffalo. I'm gonna lean Buffalo. The one thing that concerns me with the Bruins is the lack of
attention to detail.
Little bit of that. It's the lack of production from the guys that so like Elias Lindholm's been doing nothing. Hampus Lindholm's been doing nothing. I know Geeky closed strong, but he had a really meh back half of the after the Olympic break. In the fourth line, like, they closed good. They had their last few games, the fourth line was really good. But prior to those games, they had a very, very bad start coming out of the break. Yeah. If that line doesn't get going, if you continue to get nothing from Lindholm, if you can continue to get nothing from both of the Lindholms, and Geeky falls back into struggling to score goals, I think Buffalo will ultimately come out on top. But yeah, I lean Buffalo just because they have the home ice as well. I know a lot of people, home ice in hockey doesn't totally matter. Yeah. If they get to game 7 and that building's crazy and they score the first goal, I think they end up winning it. I could see it going either way, but I do lean Buffalo in this one.
I'm taking the Bruins in this series. I don't know why. I have a weird feeling this will go 7 and the Marco Sturm-led Boston Bruins are going to be in the second round of the playoffs. Yeah, I have a feeling.
One thing that people like to say, the experience. The Bruins have way more playoff experience. Buffalo has guys that have playoff experience. Zucker, like I mentioned, Tuck played in the Cup final with Vegas, I believe. Yep. Byram won a Cup with Colorado. Right? Yeah. They have guys that have played in the playoffs, and there's probably other guys that I'm not. Was it Luke Shen they traded for at the deadline. But he got, but they have guys that have the experience. The Bruins have way more playoff experience, and I think that's going to be important and could be one of the reasons if they do win, why they would.
Yeah, I just think it's a Bruins. I think it's going to go 7. I think the Bruins are going to get a bounce their way, and even though I love the Buffalo fan, I see them crying at the end of the end of the game. I'm sounding like you're the host you work with, Mike Felger, almost.
Well, yeah.
I apologize, but that's how I see it, anyways. All right, let's go to Tampa Lightning Canadians. All right, my first I'm going to ask you this. Before that, has Mike Felger paid his bet yet to eat a hat yet since Morgan?
No, he's still workshopping a way to do it, but he hasn't yet. No,
that was our first follow-up question. All right, let's go to Tampa Lightning Canadians. How many Canadians fans are they're trying to find a flight down from Canada or anywhere to get down to Tampa, you think?
I'm sure there's a lot. They travel well. I'm sure there's a lot. They'd probably like to get down a little warmth for a few days, see a couple of hockey games. I'm sure there's a good amount trying to make their way down there. Talk about a fan base that's annoying but cares. It's them.
Yes.
They truly, truly care.
What are your thoughts on Cole Caulfield getting 50, by the way? The first Canadians goal scorer to do that since like the 80s, I think. I'm
going to be honest. I love it. He's an American boy, so you hate to see him with a Canadian team, especially the Canadians. But
yes.
Immediately when he was drafted, there was hype around him and his goal scoring ability, and I love seeing it. He had a ridiculously good year. He had a hat trick against the Bruins the last time they played in Boston, and 2 of the goals were just like, how the hell did he score that? Like it was just like you were just like, wow. You just have to appreciate how good those goals were. So I loved seeing it. And I know he also has a lot of playoff experience. I haven't totally looked up his stats. The one thing I would be scared about as a Montreal Canadiens fan is the size of some more of the skill players on this team going into the playoffs, because it's important.
It's huge.
It's a heavier game.
It's a size difference.
Yeah, it's a heavier game in the playoffs. Tampa has size. No, I'm not saying Montreal doesn't. Slavkovsky's a big boy. Josh Anderson's a big boy. Suzuki's not small, but I just guys like Hudson, guys like Caulfield, like they sometimes Demidov, exactly. Like those guys, they might be fine, but sometimes those guys just can't handle the heaviness of the playoffs, and I feel like that's a detriment to Montreal. Could be the detriment to Montreal.
My big thing is I don't trust their goalie situation.
Yeah, it's another one where you're also going into the probably the one team that has the most trusted goalie situation in the playoffs, and in Vasilevsky, who's won a couple. But yeah, I mean, Dobish has been good this year, but it's another one of it's just he
ain't no Carey Price.
He
ain't no Jose Theodore, anyways.
Exactly. Like so, their goaltending situation is another one where you're not wrong to be concerned about it. You just don't know what could happen. Bad game 1, bad game 2. Do they make a change? Do they try to change the goaltending situation? That one's definitely a big concern for them.
My big thing, I got a little story is Martin St. Louis going against his former franchise that he helped build. By the way, I think that's a big storyline. I think Hockey Night in Canada is banging on my door already. Like, you guys need to talk about it more down south. Like, we're trying at least. What's your take on that? Would you say? Do you think that's a huge storyline? Would you say? Like he brought the Canadians back?
I think it'll be built into a big storyline. Absolutely. Like again, it's the guy won a cup with the team. He almost went to another cup final with that team. Like, I think it's a storyline that'll get a lot of attention. It'll be fun to watch. But I don't think there's going to be too much involvement with, like you said, it's teamy, like help build. I just don't think there'll be too much. It'll be built into the storyline, but he'll be probably the first one to tell you that he doesn't care, right? Yeah. Like, I'm just focused on winning, and I don't think the people down there in Tampa that still know or care about who he was will be bad to him or dreadful to him or say bad stuff or anything. I think he's far enough removed from being on the team that it'll be less care from those fans down there. But it's definitely going to be built into a storyline, in terms of this is the team that he spent most of his career with and won a cup with. And now he's coaching against them.
It's crazy. Anyways, I think the big thing I wanted to see is the small forwards of the Canadians versus the big boys of Tampa. How will affect both sides of the game, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the status of Hedman. I would assume he's going to be back for game one, but
that's what I'm trying to figure out. Anyways, Tampa hides stuff from everybody. That's more Fort Knox than the Miami Heat, anyways. So you can't get an injury report out of anybody.
Exactly. So I don't know what's going to be the deal with him, but again, you speak of size. Like Hedman is a big boy. JJ Moser's had a good year. He's a big boy. Darren Radish is large man, and then. You know, McDonough's not huge, but McDonough's get size. Like it again, like I said, or the size of those forwards, like, or even Hudson, who's obviously a small defenseman. How do they put up with it? And on the Hudson end of it is he gets out there against the line that has Nick Paul, or he gets out there and Corey Perry's out there, or Zemgus Girgensons is out there, and they keep dumping the puck into his corner, and he's got to go into that corner and get the puck, and he's getting hit. How does he hold up on that? And that's always something to look at in playoff hockey is the small guys out there against the bigger bodies, and how do they do over a 7-game series? Because they say regular season, you're not playing the heavy teams every night.
No,
you're playing them every once in a while, so it's not happening to you every other night for 5 nights. Now it's going to. Now it's going to happen to you every other night for 5 nights, 6 nights, 7 nights. How do you handle Nick Paul, Corey Perry, one of those big boys coming in? Even Kucherov. Kucherov's he loves to hit. How do you deal with Kucherov coming in and drilling you into the boards every night?
How are you going to respond back to it? Anyways, that's maybe
so. It would be interesting to see those small-bodied guys against them.
Hedman is still on a temporary take a leave from the Lightning for personal reasons. So this is reported by 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago by Tampa Bay Times at NHL.com. So still up in the air, I like to say. Yeah,
it'll be interesting. He's important. I know he's one of the greatest defensemen of his generation.
Oh yeah,
he's old. It's just happens, right? He's an older guy, and I don't know. He's not what he was 10 years ago. He's not what he was 5 years ago. But he's obviously important to that back end.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best. When you look at that draft, I think it was the Tavares draft. Would you have taken Tavares or Hedman? So that's a big question I would ask people.
You still take Tavares. Yeah, he was the number one offensive ability guy there. It's just you look back and it was a really damn good defenseman behind him.
Is it because I just like a nice, great defenseman? Is it like preference pretty much?
I guess maybe preference. I think to me, if the Bruins had number 1 overall this year, and it was McKenna or Keaton Verhoff, who's supposed to be the number 1 defenseman, I'm going to lean McKenna, something like that. But it could be preferential of defenseman or not.
Yeah, definitely. That's how I see it. I always feel like you got to build your back way out in, anyways. So
yeah,
the defense, goalie, defense, do your forwards, and we're good to go. All right, I gotta ask you a few league questions. What's your thoughts on the league so far this year with the break and everything? Did you like how all the games were so condensed at all, or no?
I hated how condensed the games were. I understood it was going to happen, and I understand it has to happen in years like this.
Mm-hmm.
The condensed, it was just too much. I feel like a lot of guys were worn down. The amount of back-to-backs was a lot. The Bruins in the month of March played just it was like every other night. And even as a fan, like some nights you just don't want to come home and watch a game, right? And it's like, oh my God, they played last night. And then it's like they're playing again. And you're like, oh man, like I love these guys, but it's been like 4 games in 6 nights. I'm kind of tired. I don't want to, the amount of back-to-backs, I hate back-to-backs to begin with. I understand that even every year they have to happen. But the amount of back-to-backs really was a kind of a turnoff this year for me, because I also think you get to you would play the back-to-back. Your team would be on the back-to-back. The other team would be on a back-to-back, and the third period was just watching guys skate in mud. It was so not good for the product. Like
we're going to a shootout at least. It's like almost a lock, anyways.
Yeah, and even those ones, you'd get to overtime, and teams would just be skating around, looping it, getting to the shootout, and it's not enjoyable.
Is there anything you would change with the overtime or the shootout procedure? Would you say?
I would lengthen overtime. I'd go to 10 minutes, but I understand that I hate shootouts. Honestly, like people laugh at me when I say this. I don't watch shootouts. So if I'm watching the Bruins and the game goes to a shootout, I just turn the game off. And I find out I don't want if I'm there, if I'm at the game, which happened to me twice this year, I'll sit and watch it. The first one I actually spent the entire shootout on my phone. I just didn't care. I know it's a bad thing to say. Like,
no, I kind of like.
I don't want it. I don't want ties, right? But I want to see less shootouts. So I think if you lengthen the overtime to 10 minutes, you're going to see way more goals get scored. Guys are going to be more tired. But I wouldn't get rid of the shootout because I understand you don't want to tie, but I have no use for a shootout, so I just don't watch them. But lengthen the overtime to 10 minutes, 3-on-3, I think would lop off a ton of shootouts.
I like that number. I've been trying to find a nice happy medium number. I said 8 minutes, but I think 10 minutes is more perfect anyways.
I think 10, to me, 10's good enough, right? It's not an entire period of hockey, and I don't think a lot of them are going to go 10 minutes because what do teams do when they get to the 3-on-3? They shorten the bench to 8 guys. Like, those guys are going to get tired. Somebody's going to make a mistake. Somebody's going to score.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing I've been reached about the amount of outdoor games this year, I felt like it was more than usual. I felt that's me. Like, especially like I feel like everyone down here in South Florida and also the state of Florida was like, we finally get outdoor games. Like, cool. And like we had 2 cold snaps down here, but I felt like the Bruins Lightning one delivered. I feel like the Winter Classic did not deliver this year. Winter
Classic, it was not great. Didn't deliver. I was at the Tampa one. It was unideally not. It was freezing. I didn't want that. But the game was tremendous. The game was absolutely awesome. I'm fine with 2 a year. To me, it's the Winter Classic and the Heritage Classic. Like, you do a Winter Classic game in America and you do a Heritage Classic game in Canada. And it doesn't have to be 2 Canadian teams or 2 American teams in the Winter Classic. Like, you do, like a Heritage Classic game in Montreal. I don't know what their outdoor stadium would be or how big the outdoor stadium is for their soccer team, but like Montreal, Boston outdoor Heritage Classic. Yeah, absolutely.
Sign me up.
Toronto, Boston outdoor at, you open the roof up at Rogers Place or whatever the hell the name of it is now. Like, absolutely. Like, and then I think we talked about last time about so the next outdoor game next year is going to be in Utah and the backtrack. And so that's going to be the Stadium Series game, right?
Yep, correct.
But the Winter Classic, is going to be in Utah, and that backdrop is going to be awesome. I think I talked about last time of if they're going to do them with good backdrops, do them. The find a way to get 20,000 removable seats in Tahoe and do it at Tahoe again.
Please
have it in spots where the backdrop of the game is unbeatable. That gets people into it, whether you believe it or not.
And get the Upper Bowl podcast out there doing a live show. How about that?
I'm sure they get enough media area. They get enough people out there to do it.
Get us, get Felger and Maz out there. We'll party. How about that? All right, let's do Atlantic. Let's do Hurricane Centers. Get it out of the way. Oh wait, I forgot. Prediction: Lightning and Canadian. How many games?
I think the Lightning in 6.
Habs in 7. I have a weird feeling.
Okay.
Bolts in 6. All right, let's do the Metro. Is the Metro good? Would you say the Metro upped their game finally in the playoff department this year? Can we say that finally?
Playoff ability wise, playoff series wise, yes.
Okay.
Because they got a Canadian team in there.
Yes.
And because they got one of their biggest rivalries, Pittsburgh, Philly.
Yep.
I do think that their series on paper this year have been upped a little bit.
Thank God. Because last year was just like, I call it like the Carolina Invitational, like the RBC Classic.
Yep.
They still have that, right? The RBC Classic.
RBC Heritage.
RBC Heritage.
This weekend.
There we go. I that's what I always called it. Like, if Carolina, they're going to find a way to get through the Metro. Is this the Hurricanes' final year? Because they don't have to play the Florida Panthers this year.
You got to think it's their year, but I honestly will say this: I could see them losing to Ottawa.
I do too.
But they got to be, in terms of the rest of the field, this could be the year they finally make it out of the East. It's Florida's not there. Tampa's not what it once was. And the other 3 teams in the Atlantic are beatable, right? Yeah. So I think It could definitely be the year, but I do think Ottawa gives them a fight. I think Ottawa ended up in a wild card spot because of all the issues that were tied into the team this year. Part of it, I mean, Tkachuk missed a month and a half, 2 months.
Pretty much. The goalie left too.
The goalie left. There was obviously speculation of what was going on there. Omar, they were upset that he missed the game a few weeks ago because he just tired or whatever, but he's been really good, since coming back. I mean, he's been a winnable goalie, and I think they have pieces there that can certainly beat this Carolina team. I do see Carolina winning ultimately, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Senators come out and beat them.
I have that feeling the Senators have something to prove, and they want to prove it against someone. I think it's Brady. I think this is Brady Tkachuk's coming out party.
Yeah.
Would you say like this?
Absolutely. I mean, it absolutely could be. He had a good playoff last year. Did everything that he could against Toronto. Obviously, they came up short. But between him, just in general, they have, to me, Dylan Cousins, Tim Stützle on defense. Shabbat, I don't know, like Shabbat's. He came back really quick from that broken arm. I don't know what he's doing there.
The drugs he's got. Anyways,
what is he doing to keep himself going like that? I really like Jake Sanderson. I know he's been in and out of the lineup recently, injury wise. I believe, if I'm thinking correct about him, they just have a good amount of talent there. Giroux is still producing at his age.
He's still there.
I think these guys have enough talent.
They got talent and leadership.
Yeah. I mean, Tkachuk, Shabbat again shows leadership by coming back from a broken arm in like 2 weeks to try and get you into the playoffs. I think they have the good leadership there. I think they have good talent, and I think they have the ability, what it takes to, if I had to choose the two wildcard teams, I think every year you get a couple of wildcard teams that just aren't wildcard teams in both conferences.
I think these are good wildcard teams we got this year.
Yeah, but I do truly believe the Bruins are a wildcard team. I think that was going to be their best, and that's where they are. Mm-hmm. I think Ottawa is the wildcard team that wasn't the wildcard team, the wildcard team that should have been top 3 in their division. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think they could come in and knock off Carolina. I don't see it happening. But I do think this one goes the distance. I think this one goes 7 games.
I think it's going to go 7 games. I have a weird feeling Ottawa has something to prove. And I also feel Brady Tkachuk wants to prove something. Like I am equally as better as Matthew Tkachuk, who pretty much partied all year of USA hockey. I think this is his coming out party. I think this was also, maybe I haven't said this in maybe 15 years. Maybe this will be the series Drew shuts everybody up anyways in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he's at some point he's got to do something, right? And he went home, right? This is his 4th year of being home. He went home, so like you gotta win for your home team, right? You wanna prove to your city, a reason why you came back.
Yeah. I'm saying sentence 7. What about you?
So I'm going to go Carolina in 7. But again, I think that upset's possible.
I think it's upset. All right, let's get to the best series of all time. You probably just enjoy this as a watching ability. I enjoy this because it's just Philadelphia, Pittsburgh anyways. They split the season series. Flyers back in the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Mazel tov, I'm going to say to everybody on that. What do you like about the Flyers this year anyways? Because I pretty much enjoyed them as I went on the West Coast and saw them. They were a fun team to watch because they beat up Anaheim and Los Angeles in the shootout anyways.
I mean, so what I like about them is that they had a little bit of like the Bruins in them where they just didn't give up. Because at one point, 3 weeks ago, it was like, yeah, they're dead. They're out. Yeah. Like, and they just kept showing up. They kept showing up. They kept fighting in games. They kept winning games. And they have that ability to not they don't go away. You think they're dead, you think they're out of it, and they're back in it. I think also Zegras had a good year. I didn't think he was going to have that great of a year under Tocchet. So I was surprised to see that, but they just have that Bruins in them of like, we're not going away. We're here. We're going to fight. And they did it. They got into the playoffs when it looked like 3 weeks ago they were another lottery team.
I know. I think Porter Martone, having Michigan State get eliminated by Wisconsin was the biggest gift of all time. It was like, wait, what? It was like the biggest thing that happened on Saturday night, and he flew in on Sunday as he watched as he beat Dallas in overtime. I think it's been a fun team. Dan Vladar is your MVP of the team this year. This is the first time the Flyers had a great goalie since maybe, I'm going to date myself to this, Martin Biron in 07-08 at least. I'm going to go with that at least. Maybe I'll say Robert Esch or Roman Czechmanek. Can I say those two names?
It's been a while, and it's one of those things where it always seems like, up here, I say to people, like, you can complain about our goalies all you want, but like the Bruins went from, they went from Tim Thomas to Tuukka Rask to Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman. Like, I know Rask never won as a starter. I know Swayman and Ullmark hadn't been perfect in the playoffs, but like the Bruins have always gone into the playoffs. The most recent issues goalie wise for the Bruins was like, who's going to start in the playoffs?
Yes.
Right. Philly's one of those markets where it feels like every year it's just like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, they think this guy's going to be able to do it. And look, Vladar, like, he was obviously in Boston. He started in Boston. He was drafted by the Bruins. He had a really good year. He was like, I think he was a 4th round pick, maybe 5th, but he's a good goalie. He's had a great year for those guys. And yeah, I mean, to say he's the MVP of that team, absolutely. He had a year that probably not a lot of people expected. And is one of the large main reasons why they're back in the playoffs.
It's that. And also, Rick Tockett's is Rick Tocchet your Jack Adams Award winner this year?
No, I got to go Lindy Ruff.
Okay.
First of all, like, I was talking to my father about this, like, John Cooper is top 3. Like,
no,
I know they had a lot of injuries this year or guys missing time, but they were expected to be where they are. He shouldn't be top 3. I do lean Lindy Ruff just because of how good of a year Buffalo had, especially that back half.
Which I agree
and they haven't been 14 years. I mean, Tockett's going to be up there. Dan Muse,
Yes.
The other team in this matchup wasn't supposed to be in the playoffs either.
No,
but Tocchet should be a finalist. I don't believe that he shouldn't be a finalist. I think he should be a top 3. I do lean Lindy Ruff on that case, but he should be up there. Tocchet. Again, he's if I had to give my three finalists, it would be Ruff, Tocchet, and Muse. Those 3 are the 3 that their teams were probably the most surprising of being in the playoffs.
Am I allowed to say Marco Sturm, or am I just saying that because you're a Bruins fan and stuff?
So Sturm should be up there as well. The thing that I go and maybe Pittsburgh falls into this category too.
Yeah.
The pieces that were there were still really good, right? Mm-hmm. Pastrnak is one of the best offensive players in the world. McAvoy is, in my opinion, a top 10 defenseman in the league. Swayman is a top 10 goalie in the league, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I leave Sturm out of it. Muse on the other end of things. Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Evgeny Malkin, Erik Karlsson, Chris Letang, Evgeny Malkin, like, those guys are really good, right? So it's not extremely surprising that he got them there with those guys having good years. The only thing for them, I guess the advantage I'd give Muse over Sturm is the goaltending situation there has been a disaster. You trade Jarry, you bring in Skinner, who's really not that great. I know he's played the last 2 Cup finals.
Congratulations.
But I think their goalie situation was the tipping factor in terms of me putting Muse on my list ahead of Sturm.
Do you trust not Tristan Jarry? Do you trust Stuart Skinner in this series?
God! Oh, in this series, maybe.
Who do you trust, Vladar or Skinner?
I guess people would go with Skinner because he's made the Cup final, obviously behind a loaded offense. But I think people would lean Skinner, but it is a toss up, the goaltending situation. Like, Vladar has had a great year, got them there, but what is he going to do in the playoffs now? Skinner at least has the playoff background.
Yes, that
people will lean on. I know you're a Flyers guy. This is why I lean Penguins in this series, because of the overall experience.
7 or 6. What are you taking?
There's another one that goes 7, I think. I think the only one in the East that doesn't go 7 is Montreal Tampa. I think this one goes 7. I have a hard time picking against Sidney Crosby when he plays a team that doesn't have the most playoff experience.
That's
right.
Fine.
Like Couturier has obviously been in the playoffs.
Konechny's been in the playoffs.
I'm trying to think. Zegras never made it with Anaheim, right?
Zegras never made it. Sanheim made it his rookie year.
Yep, Sanheim was there.
Rasmus Ristolainen is making his playoff debut.
Oh, really? Wow. That's right. Yeah, because he was in
800
Buffalo.
plus games.
That's right.
Playoffs finally.
He was in Buffalo. That's why, so this one, I lean playoff experience. There's just so much on the other side, right? Carlson, Crosby, Malkin, Letang have all won 3 cups. Skitter's made 2 cup finals. Yeah. Brazeau's been in the playoffs. Who's the other one I'm thinking of? There's so many.
His debut, anyways.
There's so many former Bruins out there, though. Like, what's his name?
Trent Frederick.
No, Frederick's out in Edmonton. Noel Chari is in Pittsburgh. Connor Clifton's there. Parker Wotherspoon. Like, all those guys got playoff experience. Do I fully trust Clifton and Wotherspoon? No. But just on that side, there's just so much playoff experience that I kind of lean towards them, just in the case of they've been there. But I think for the Flyers,
it's house money.
It's house money. It's the Bruins situation. And for their young guys, this is like the best thing you could have been dropped into is Pittsburgh, Philly for your first playoff. Yes. Martone, Porter Martone, Konechny. Actually on the another guy on that has experience is Christian Dvorak.
Yeah.
But Martone, I just said Konechny, not Konechny, Zegras, Mishkov,
maybe
Drysdale, like these guys, their first playoff experience is going to be in one of their biggest rivalries, and I think that's really huge for them of getting the experience in that environment.
I think it's perfect. I'm excited. I'm trying to make my way up for a game anyway, so that's how like Trevor usually just goes to a playoff game every once in a while. That's a deal. I trust Tocchet in this situation with him and Todd Reardon as assistant coaches. I think they like Tockett's been behind that bench as a Pittsburgh Penguins assistant coach. He knows he's finding ways to get under Malkin, who's known to two-hand crutch like Rasmus Dahlin. He's going to find a way to get them anyway under their skin. People are already hating each other. I'm taking the Flyers in 7. I think it's going to be probably a cult classic Flyers Penguins series, which we haven't had maybe 25 years.
So, and again, I've been speaking of advantages in every series. Like the coaching is far and away the advantage for Philly in terms of just the experience on that end. Like you said, like Tocchet, he has head coaching experience in the playoffs. He has the experience behind the Pittsburgh bench. Muse, obviously, first year as a head coach, so he has no head coaching playoff experience. So that you lean Flyers in terms of the
coaching,
the coaching advantage. But I have to lock Pittsburgh in 7, and I know this is bad to say to a Flyers fan, but it's bad to say to a lot of Bruins fans too. But my favorite player that I've ever watched is Sidney Crosby. And
you're not the only person to say that, by the way. Brian Broads of Philadelphia radio said that recently on the afternoon show, and he's been crucified. So you're not the only one who said
that. He's just, I personally, I take, I think he's one of the 5 greatest to ever play the game. So I have to lean on him. But it'll be a fun series to watch from the outside because I don't have a true dog in the fight. It'll be enjoyable to enjoy from the outside.
I think it's going to be Flyers from 7. I think it's going to be a fun series. Inject it into my veins. Inject these Eastern Conference playoffs into my veins. Kevin Maggiore, what's going on with Felgram Maz these days? I know you guys are doing the big board right now. Don't hurt anybody. I don't say that for sure.
Yeah, we're in big board territory. We get the draft next week. We obviously in New England don't have a very high pick. There's obviously a lot of outside things going on as well. But we've been doing big board, and we got more big board action today. The fun stuff's next week with the offensive skill players.
Yes.
But today's, we're recording this on Thursday, so today is safeties and corners, which is also an important need for the Patriots, at least in the safety area this year in the draft.
What do you think? Would you guys do one? Did you guys do one for the Bruins?
We did
this year.
We did last year. We got none. We shot frozen ring dings at a board, and we got 0 correct. So yeah, we didn't do good with that one.
Maybe next year we'll do it anyways. Maybe you guys should do it for like.
Hey, look, if the ping pong balls fall our way in a few weeks, we're going to be doing it again because look, the Bruins either don't have a high pick in the first round or they pick 6 or 7. So we could be doing it again because hopefully the ping pong balls fall our way and we get the 6th overall pick.
Then that pick goes to Philly next year too. So I have to do that anyways.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Phillies guaranteed, I would believe, to get that pick next year because if they don't get it this year, if the Bruins don't get it this year, and it's in the top 10 next year, Toronto chooses who gets it, and they're not giving it to the Bruins. So Philly would get that pick next year.
That's why I want you to guys have it this year. Then Philly can have it next year. Then we could, one of us could draft a top 10 superstar, and we could draft the Toronto.
So would you get it next year though if it's top 10 protected? I think. They might. I think they're going to be out of the top 10 next year anyway. They're going to bounce back.
I kind of want them to.
You want them to suck again, yeah.
I want them to suck again. So we have some. I have something to root for, and you have something to laugh at, anyways. Think about that.
Well, yeah. I wish, but they didn't make me laugh this year.
Hey, that is true, Kevin. It's always great having you on. We'll have you on for the second round, maybe the conference finals. How about that?
Sounds good.
Thank you as always.